Disgrace.
This movie is not the worst Stephen King adaptation, but it is still not good. There is a big difference between displaying the supernatural in a mysterious way and just not talking about it. There was only one scene that was good, but overall this movie just comes off as characters getting lost in tall grass. When I found out that this was going to be the plot of the movie, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, come on! I don't think there was a single line said by Patrick Wilson that didn't have him say the word grass. One of his lines actually was, "All flesh is grass." The acting was hilariously bad, and the story was kind of entertaining to watch because of how funny it was. I like to see these movies fail hilariously. Netflix horror is mostly bad, and most King adaptations are bad. So this was most likely to be bad, and it was. Child actor was okay though, but apart from that, it was bad. Next up is The Hole in the Ground. This is an A24 film that was actually fun. The plot was very predictable, everything went in the play that I expected, but it didn't feel like a complete waste of time. The acting is good, the direction is decent enough, and this is just a simple horror movie with good cinematography and editing overall. If you want a horror movie that isn't overly complicated and is just simple, then this is for you. It wasn't too disturbing, and it had nothing ruining it, but it didn't have everything going for it. It's still a mystery simple horror movie, and it is nothing else. Another A24 horror film I saw was Midsommar. It certainly had a lot of unique elements, such as the editing, acting, and cinematography, but all that still doesn't change the fact that the colossal chunk of this movie is cheesy and unsure of itself. Unfortunately, this is just another horror movie that had a promising start, but just didn't deliver. I already talked about this one, and I already gave it a 6 out of 10, so go watch that if you want. A final A24 film I saw in 2019 was The Lighthouse, and it was fantastic. Any element in the movie world, this movie pretty much owns. They worked really hard on it, and I loved it very, very much, and it is an achievement for the decade. When was the last fucking time that people said their favorite movie of the year was a horror movie? How does this image make you feel? I already made a video on this one, so go check it out. Pet Sematary is a really weird Stephen King adaptation. I personally like to see it as a reboot of a classic movie that honestly was a little disappointing rather than a true adaptation of King's classic story. And with that, this movie has the same problem as It Chapter 2. Sloppy recreation. There are scenes in this movie that are only here because they were in the previous movie. The first half of this movie is pretty dull, especially if you've seen the original. I forgive it a little bit for improving the acting, the effects quality, and the story as a whole, and the makeup, but it is still just the first half of the original, and things don't really get interesting until the second half. The child actress is really good. Making an evil child for a horror movie, you need an actor that can perform dialogue in different manners, and you need the actor to be really good at both. And Jenny Lawrence, I hope I pronounced that right, is perfect for that. Jason Clarke is pretty good, but the sad reality is that with Stephen King adaptations, you have all the good ones that will be remembered for years to come, and then you have the Forgotten Realm, which is literally everything else. And out of those two, this movie will be forgotten. Now that I have talked about evil child actors, I think I should talk about The Prodigy. Now, Nicholas McCarthy is a nice guy, and this is a decent horror flick, but I've seen better. I should probably state the obvious. Jackson Robert Scott saves most of the movie, and without him, it wouldn't be this good. In a way where people say the new Sonic movie is nothing without Jim Carrey, and how the Terminator sequels are absolutely nothing without Arnie. I truly believe that this movie is nothing without Jackson Robert Scott. Not only is his performance good, the direction he's given is great, so I praise Nicholas for that. He basically has an A+ on everything on my checklist, period. He is perfect, and I love this boy. If you want a good child actor, then this is for you, but everything else could have had a bit more work. Taylor Schilling's performance gets upstaged by Jackson so frequently that I was shocked. To be fair, she does have bad lines, but she is still not convincing, and she was still bad at her job. The plot is just an excuse for Jackson Robert Scott to be evil, and that works for me, because he's good at being evil. Hey guys, Judge Dross here, and yes, this is a re-upload, because my last one got claimed by Paramount Pictures, which means yes, part 3 and the official ranking are already out. You can watch them. I'm going to put them as the end screens, and make sure you check out that playlist to watch all of them in case you want to. The playlist is right near the card, right there. It's just showing up right now. Now click on that white card and go watch them and have fun.